Welcome to Black Sheep. Come on in. Hi there. I'm Nancy from Black Sheep Knitting in Needham, Massachusetts. Although I'm not in Needham today, I'm in my home, and we're filming out here. A lot's going on, I think. First, let's talk about knit-alongs. Giovanna is doing another one, as many of you know, and it's a short sleeve, although it can be longer, tank, and there's also or tee, I should call it a tee, and it also, there's a hat also with this pattern, I believe, and we did it in with spin cycle dyed in the wool, which is the contrast color, and the main color is Sueño Sport. So we have some of the colors we're a little low on at the moment in Sueño Sport, but we also have a wonderful yarn called Ella Ray Cashmerino. And if those of you who remember Debbie Bliss Cashmerino, it's made in the same mill. So it's the same, I think it's even the same colors basically. But beautiful colors, super soft. It has about 10% cashmere and it's lovely. Believe it's superwash, but don't quote me. And speaking of which, for a long time I was a fan of a lot of superwash yarns. I've somehow turned a corner and I'm liking non-superwash yarns for garments. I like superwash for softer, but I really do like a more woolly wool. Now, we have vintage, which I think is a fantastic all-purpose yarn. It's got nylon and acrylic and wool, and it's a good all-purpose yarn. There's some other yarns, and I don't think that stretches so much, but there's some other superwash yarns that after they're blocked, if you go like this, they stretch. And I don't think this one does so much, and this isn't really advertised as a superwash, but most yarns, and I wouldn't say this of a single ply yarn, most yarns you can wash in the washer anyway. That's how I wash my yarns. But I wash them on gentle cycle with a wool wash in cold water. And delicate, so delicate or gentle cycle. And they almost always, I haven't ever had a problem. So I don't think people should be so hung up on superwash unless you're making like little baby clothes, because as a lot of grandmothers, and I hate to say this, mothers-in-law say that their daughters-in-law will just throw them in the wash, and willy-nilly, which I think is not nice. I know my daughter, if I tell her something is, shouldn't go in wash with hot water, she listens to me and she does it, and I think most people would. My daughter's a busy woman with a busy job and 2 kids. So that's terrible to say. I'm not dissing daughters-in-law, but we often get grandmothers who complain a little bit about how their children take care of things, and I think
give me them back, my knit things back to wash for them.
Yeah, Robin, if you can hear Robin saying her kids give them back to wash for them. But I think most people, if you tell them how to treat it, it's not hard to turn your dial to delicate and use cold water.
And put it in a bag.
Or you can put it in a garment bag. In any case, I digress. So Giovanna is doing a knit-along for this on Saturdays, beginning tomorrow, from 3 to 5. So you're welcome to join. Anybody's welcome. And Giovanna can help you put together kits for this, not a kit, but to get the yarn for you. So we certainly have lots of choices. There's lots of colors in the Cashmerino. There is also, and I think we put it on sale, the Rowan, is it called Cash Soft? I think that's what it's called. And they're beautiful colors that would go with a lot of the spin cycle dyed in the wool.
Check the
And
sale bin, too.
yeah, look in the sale bin. We have a lot of dyed in the wool, so spin cycles, so plenty to do. You could also use the Cascade 220 Sport Wave, which is another multicolor yarn that would work for this. But you can see how beautiful the spin cycle just makes this beautiful pattern. It has this nice lace detail up here. So a lot of folks were interested in that. So come, if you haven't worked with Giovanna, you're missing something. She's just a delight, and she is very encouraging and inspiring. We have, today, we had a spot open up for the steeking workshop. So if anybody's interested,
It's the 8th.
might be on the 8th. I'm not entirely sure.
I think it's the 8th. It's Saturday.
It's a Saturday. Okay. The next thing I wanted to talk about was a cowl that I saw that I thought was really nice, and it's called the Silky Twist Cowl / Hoodie. So it's one of those ones, and I showed hoodies last time, that you can use as a cowl. You put it on, and then, you know, if it's windy or whatever, cold, you just pull it up over your head. And the nice thing about, and I'm going to show you some really lightweight yarns. If you're like me, I hate to have my hair messed up because it doesn't do well, although as I get older, I care a lot less. So I picked out some yarns. It's worsted weight, and when you see the pattern, you'll see that it shows a striping yarn, and we do have striping yarns. We have the unique worsted, and that's striped. But one thing that I thought would be really nice is our cotton merino. And to do the cowl hoodie, it's just knitting, and I think there's a ribbing at either end to keep it from curling. And I chose a couple of colors that I think go well together, and I would you could stripe it any old way you want. You don't need a pattern, or you could just, if you're concerned about being a little more anal, you could do 3 rows of one color, 3 rows of another color, or 2 rows of one, 2 rows of another. You can, it's your choice, and you can have fun with it. Or you can just do 2 rows here, 4 rows there. That's kind of and you'll see in a minute why I'm saying that. So I have this one, which is Cowl, Cowl and Petal. So it's a pink and a gray. Then I have Chalk with the pink. I have this gold, which is called Mimosa with the white, the Cowl with the white, the Cowl with the gray, which I think is the Mimosa with the gray. Anyway, I think those would be fun to do together. And then I also picked out some, here's an example of how I like to use a superwash. This is the Rios, and I like using Rios. It's soft, it's really nice to knit with, and has great stitch definition. So this one is called Diana, and this one is Dunas. It's kind of a mustardy. Well, I think we'll make kits for these. So you can, if you're shopping online, you can get a kit. So that will be one. This one I just think is really pretty. This is Valentina. Again, this is Rios, paired with Virgo. And I just love that one. Really, really pretty. And then we put, just as a more subdued one, is Ivory and Cape Cod Gray, which I love this. I made a little child sweater with these 2 colors. Very pretty together. So I like those a lot. And this is, again, the Ivory with Azules. And Azules, if you see, has some purple and blues and dark teal. It's really, really pretty, and some light purple you can see there. So I like this one a lot. The next thing on the agenda is an upcoming workshop. I know we're doing a lot of workshops, but we just love doing them. And we love the sort of fun part of people coming into the shop and doing a workshop, and they kind of make friends with each other, and they become nice groups, and then they often want to take another workshop together. So I think that's one of the things I love about owning this shop. What is that I love the community that we've created of people who love knitting and then learn to love each other, and I just enjoy that part. And I was saying to one of the staff people the other day, I never wanted to own a yarn shop. It was not in my dream, and a lot of people said, oh, I thought it was like you really wanted to do this. I said, no, I didn't. I worked here. I worked in this shop since 2006. Is that 19 years? And I was working through, we have 2 different sets of owners, and the last set, we're going to sell it, and the shop, and I thought, I want to keep working here, but I don't know if I want to have another new boss. And I thought, well, put up or shut up. So I did buy the shop. And I guess the thing that I have learned that I love about it is the people, and the people that come in, and the community that we are creating. And people get to know each other because they take workshops together, or they're in the classes together and they take workshops. So that's kind of the fun of it. So we like to offer lots of workshops. The majority are taught by Catherine and Giovanna. Does anybody else teach them? Me. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but Giovanna and Catherine are amazing. And the follow-up with these 2 women, I mean, if somebody has a problem, they always will meet them in the shop and help them, whatever. Well, that said, the workshop that I'm going to do next, and I've done a bunch of them, is socks. And this is the one that I do that I've found, and I've done a ton of socks over time, is the toe-up magic loop sock. And it begins at the toe, and it begins with, I guess people call it Judy's Magic Cast-On. I don't know. It's a cast-on that I have a very simple way of doing it, and a lot of people have used this cast-on for other things. But it ends up as, that was just an example, but this is how it ends up. It's just seamless and goes from the toe up. The nice thing about the toe up, and I am just starting the heel over here, but the nice thing about doing a toe up sock is that you can make it any length you want. You can try it on. If you're doing top down, you don't know how much yarn you're going to have left. So if you do the foot first, and here I've started doing the heel gussets here, where I'm adding stitches to one side to make the heel. You can then keep going and make the leg any length you want, pretty much. But if you're doing it from top down, you're limited because you don't know how much yarn you're going to need for the rest of it. So if you've made your foot, and we have a formula of how many stitches you need for the foot. So it's a great pattern. It's worth learning this because they can go fairly quickly. What our pattern that we use is designed for any weight yarn. I'm using worsted, which I kind of like. They go pretty quickly, I have to say. But you can do fingering. This is Rios that I'm using. You can do fingering weight. You can do DK weight. So is a Rios. To do this, you need 2 skeins of yarn because of the amount of yardage that's in it. But you can do a DK, you can do a sport, you can do a fingering. I think handmade socks are, first of all, they're fabulous gifts for people, but they're wonderful to wear. And when you have them on, your foot feels good. I don't know how to describe it, but I think it's wonderful. So we're doing this in 2 sessions. The first session will be March the 8th. It's a Saturday at 1 o'clock. And then you will learn the cast on, and we're hoping in that first class you'll get a lot of the foot done, and then you'll work in the second class on the heel. And then from there on you're in good shape. So the second class will be March 22nd. So if you haven't learned to make socks yet, and it doesn't have to be on little needles, I'm on probably a 7 or a 7, I think a size 7.
You can learn magic loop in this class.
Yes, so the way that we do it is with magic loop, so that you don't have to use double pointed needles. Magic loop is fun. You can also, if you have the shorty sets from Chow, they have very short cables, and you can also, if you have a shorty set, you can probably use those if you want. I'm fine with magic loop for this because it goes, once you get in the rhythm of it, it goes pretty quickly. I once taught a workshop in, where was I? In Malawi, where my son was working for Partners in Health, and we had gone to visit. And so he gathered together some women to learn to make socks. They knew how to crochet. They didn't really know much about knitting. In 2 days, they made a sock in worsted weight. So let's not let women in Malawi, who have probably, they live up in the mountains, very rudimentary kind of living. Let's not let them show you up. You can do this. And of course, when you don't have any other distractions, these women, I had them for most of a day. And so they just sat there, and I called them intrepid knitters. They were gung-ho, amazing, amazing. So I think it's something you could really benefit from doing. You can make little tiny socks for babies. You can make shorty socks. A lot of people make shorty socks to wear with like clogs or sneakers or those kinds of things. The sign up for that will be available, I believe, next week. So think about that for March. And then I think all the other workshops, except the steeking workshop, has 1 space left. We think.
Do the blocking, I don't
You
know.
might, yeah, you can look online for that. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, something I'm considering, and we've done it in the past. So this is where I'm going to need feedback from people. I want to do another Afghan project. We've done others. We did Nora's Vintage Afghan, which was, they're blocks. And the ones I'm suggesting are blocks, because I think, who wants to drag around a big Afghan? Plus, when you're knitting in a big Afghan, the rows are long and arduous sometimes. So I like the idea of a block, one that's blocked. So I have here a Nora's Vintage Afghan, which is blocks. It's called vintage because it's in the vintage yarn, which I think is a great yarn for an Afghan. And it's a series of blocks with cables. I think mostly every one of them has a cable. And the thing that I think is fun about them is you can sit down, in 1 or 2 nights you can do a block. And this would be probably a year-long project. So I'm throwing that out there. But this one is great because there are so many different cables in here, different ways of doing them, and there's bobbles. So there's a lot of interest in it, lots of fun. And here's the thing. I don't remember if it's 24 blocks. You can make it any size you want, and you can choose whichever block you want to do. But I have some others to throw out there that I think are kind of fun. There's one called Stella Quilt Blanket. So look that we'll show these. The one that I'm most interested in is the Midwinter Knit Along. It's was designed by Martin Story, and it has a Christmas theme to it, or a winter theme. And I really liked that idea. We started it pretty quickly. You could maybe get it done for the holidays next year. There's another one that I thought was fun. Learn to knit a log cabin blanket is what it's called. And if you know the log cabin pattern, if any of you are sewers and have done quilts, they're kind of popular. This is a good way to use up scraps if you happen to have lots of leftovers from another worsted yarn. And then there's another one called the Woodside Christmas Blanket. So I'd love feedback from people to let me know if this is something you would be interested in. So give me some feedback, and I'll take in what you have to say, put it in the comments. Robin will put an email link, and you can email me and tell me your thoughts if you'd like to do it. So I've been at home in recovery from a little surgery I had. So I was like trying to think of fun things I could do for myself while I was home. And I have this beautiful yarn. I don't know if you can ever find it, but it's a brushed cashmere. I can't remember. I think it's from France, but I got it at Knitting. But this, I just wanted to show you when you let the yarn do the talking, this is a fun thing to do. What I did was I just cast on, this is a multicolored, the softest, airiest thing you can imagine. And we've got something in the shop that's very similar. It's not as colorful, but they're different colors, and it's called Yakashmere, which is a brushed cashmere, and that's what this is, a brushed cashmere. So I just thought I'd like this as one of those hoodies that we were talking about, but I love a nice cowl that has some girth to it, that you can put on. It comes down around here maybe and gives you some extra warmth, and that doesn't itch one iota, and this does not itch. And I can tell you that the ones we have, the Yakashmere that we have in the shop, does not. We also have an alpaca haze, it's called, and it's from Mode, which is a spin-off from Rowan, and that is a similar kind of feel to this. Absolutely no itch. It's alpaca. It's not mohair. So what I did was I just cast on a whole bunch of stitches, and I kind of guessed what this is. I haven't measured exactly what it is, but I know that it'll go up over my head. And then I just started knitting, and I'm going to knit till I use up the yarn. I could increase the stitches if I wanted to as I go. So if I put it on this way, it'd be wider or longer. But I don't know. I may just knit it, and it's nice. It's one of those things that's just nice to pick up and knit a couple of rows. It's soft, it's easy. So that's one where you just let the yarn do the talking. Look how beautiful that is. You don't have to do a, cable or anything. Oh, I should talk about what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a sweater, you've probably seen it before, it's called Wabush, from Jennifer Beal. Jennifer Beal is Canadian, maybe from Newfoundland. I don't know if it's Princess, I shouldn't say. She's from Canada. She is a genius, and you should look at her designs. I can't imagine a lot of you would want to latch onto them. They are a little complicated. But if you want a beautiful, slightly complicated design, she's the one to go for. This one, what was so interesting about this is that there's steeks all over the place in this. There were steeks here, because I think, yeah, this is knit this way, so I think it's knit across that way. And the neck was steeked. It was a bit of a challenge. But I love the result. The yarn is a worsted weight yarn that we no longer have. I think it is shepherd's wool, which they don't wholesale anymore, so we can't get it. But super warm, and it was a challenge, but I was pleased with what it was in the end. It's a little, like most yarns, a little pilly. I realize I have to get my gleaner out and do some pilling. But I wanted to show you another project that I started while I've been home. I made it's a Hoodie Locatelli pattern called Super Simple Summer Sweater. Say that 50 times or 10 times in a row. And it's a worsted weight sweater that has big stripes. Robin will put a picture of it up. So I had a bunch of worsted weight cashmere in, I think they were, when I purchased the shop, I think there were a bunch there, and there were bits and bobs of different colors, and they weren't really selling. And I thought, I think I'm going to take those. So I took them home, and then I didn't do anything with it. And then I'm just striping. So I think I'm going to repeat. I think my goal was, and I'm dropping stitches. Incidentally, so here's a trick, or something you should do. If you can see here, this should be in there. It's dropped out of the stitch. Because if you look at that, this goes from here to here and doesn't go into that stitch. Can you see that? So if you're, in the middle of something and you don't have time to fix it, what you want to do, and this happens a lot if you're putting stitches back on your needle, what you want to do is pick up that strand of yarn that's in the back that should be put through this stitch. But if you can't do it right then, put it on your needle, and then when you knit around to it, you can fix it. Okay? So that will remind you that you need to fix it. So what my plan with this is I'm going to repeat this here. So I'm going to have this is here, then I'll have another one of these stripes. And by then maybe I'll be at the bottom. My plan was to make it a more cropped sweater that's a little loose, which I think will be fun. I don't have any idea what I'm going to do about the sleeves. So I might do something funky on the sleeves. But it's kind of fun to just take something like a blank canvas and make it into something. So I'm having fun with that. And one other little item that I'm doing, and it's a fun knit. It just came out, and it's just a repeat of Knits and Pearls. So I'm right now trying to decide. I think my plan was to make it so that the brim came up, and I love a double brim, a brim that's turned up, because it gives you extra warmth around your ears. You could wear this the other way, but I think I want it. And I think had I had the patience, I would have just made this twice the length, but I didn't. Okay, so my goal is to finish this today. We'll see if that happens. Those of you who haven't seen me, I will be back in the shop on Tuesday. And we're in the midst of ordering some new yarns, so stay tuned. We'll have some new yarns. So a friend is just coming through the door. So I'll see you in a week's time. Have a good week of knitting and enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye. Hi.